Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Kathy Martucci, and I'm here today to lead your practice in a Kripalu class, a Kripalu yoga class all about the hips, called Hip Hooray. We hold a lot of tension in our hips. Our hips are linked to our spine through various muscle systems, nervous systems, etc. And it's very, very important, especially as we sit for longer periods of time, that we both strengthen and stretch the hips. And the hips and all of its connectors are really about 20 sets of muscles. So it's very intricate and very, very important to our overall health. Now, Kripalu Yoga is a style of yoga that employs all the same asanas or poses that we're used to. So there's nothing new here, but there's a couple tenets of Kripalu Yoga that I would like to explain before we get started. And those are that Kripalu means compassion. And it's all about compassion to ourselves so that we can exhibit compassion to others. Try to stay away from being critical of ourselves, from negative talk, something we're probably all guilty of at some point or another. So just what we call witness consciousness, just observing what's going on without criticism or judgment. The other very important principle is finding ease in the pose. So if you may be struggling with a pose and your quadriceps, for example, might be burning, might be talking to you, but we can soften our face, we can soften our shoulders, we can separate the teeth and unclench the jaw. So finding ease in that pose and maintaining or aligning breath with movement. So in general, we inhale and work against gravity as we inhale. As we work with gravity, we exhale. And it's very, very important to maintain your breathing during the class. It's generally when we're holding our breath and we're not breathing that we're more prone to injury. And breathing and relaxing helps us get into our poses in a much more relaxed way. We don't have to be all nervous and jerky about it. As a matter of fact, that just invites an environment for injury. And we really want to stay away from being injured, as yoga is part of our holistic approach to health. Okay, so what I'd like you to do today is to start lying on your back. And you can have your legs out, you can have your soles of the feet on the mat. I'm going to stay upright for the centering and breathing, just so you can hear me better. I can access the microphone better. So here we go. So relax against the mat and just notice your natural breath. Sink into the mat. Visualize a beautiful gleaming silver bowl near your right shoulder. Into that bowl, we're going to put our grocery lists, our to-do lists, our regrets, our hurts, our old tapes that no longer serve us, just for the moment, just for this moment, and then the next moment, and then the next moment. I promise you all of those things will still be there after class. So let your bowl vanish with all the thoughts and worries, the chaos of daily life, and just focus on the breath. No need to induce any pattern or rhythm. Open the chest, let the belly inflate. Imagine, if you will, go inside the heart space underneath the protective rib cage and picture those lungs. Picture the bottom of the lungs nestled against the diaphragm. and the tops of the lungs barely touching the collarbones. The lungs take up quite a bit of room in the chest cavity. They can hold a gallon of air. Generally, we only breathe in about 25% of our capacity. I'm going to ask you now to take a deep breath. Let the belly inflate. The diaphragm moves down into the abdominal cavity, pulling the air into the lungs. This is something that we don't have to think about. Our body systems are miraculous. And as you exhale, the diaphragm comes back up, pushing the air now out of the lungs, through the throat, out of the nose. If you can breathe in and out your nose through the whole class, that is preferable. You don't have to if you've got some limitations, but the better way to do this is through the nose, in and out the nose. So go on imagining the lungs filling with air and then expressing that air. Feeling the belly inflate, maybe opening up the rib cage, and feeling the breath all the way up to the collarbones. On the exhale, letting the breath fully emerge from the lungs, breathing out old stale air, toxins, and things that no longer serve. So breathe in relaxation, breathe out tension. Breathe in health and vitality, breathe out disease. Continue breathing this way for a few moments. Perhaps taking this quiet time to set an intention for your practice. Feeling the breath, just observing without judgment, without analyzing, and certainly without criticism. Breath breathing you. No need to force, no need to regulate. Breathing from the inside out. Continue with a couple more rounds of breath before we come into our warm-up. We'll remain on our backs for the warm-up. So I'm going to join you now on the mat. So again, legs can be bent or straight. That is your preference. Now raise the right leg, flex the foot, clasp the fingers around the shin and bring that thigh right into the right side of the belly. This is the ascending side of the colon, major part of the digestive system. We're just starting out, so be gentle with yourself at this point. Just letting the head of that femur set itself into the hip socket. And very gently letting that leg come back to the mat, bent or straight. Bring up the left leg. Bring that thigh right into the belly, the descending side of the colon. Big belly breaths here, giving the abdominal organs a nice stimulus here. Flexing that foot to protect the knee, being gentle as we start out. And now bring up the right knee to join the left, both feet flexed. And just rock from side to side. You can let your whole body go with you here. And then placing the feet back down on the mat, bring the arms up so that the upper arms are perpendicular to the floor. My right hand is holding my left elbow and vice versa. Let the arms come over to the left and just kiss the floor with your left upper arm. And then do the same with the right. You can keep your eyes on the ceiling, or you can let your head go from side to side as well. That's up to you, but keep the hips and the knees stationary. So warming up the shoulder, warming up the elbow here, opening up the back of that shoulder, and maybe getting a little massage on the back of the head. One more on each side. And then come to center, pause just for a moment. Now this time, maybe you want to widen your knees a little bit more. Bring the right arm, upper arm to the floor and bring the knees to the left, okay? Let them windshield wiper over to the left, and as we bring our arms to the right, bring our arms to the left, knees to the right. So we're going in opposite directions, getting a little bit of a spinal twist here and easing the tension out of that lower back. Going back and forth here. If your arms are getting tired, you can take them out of the equation at any time. Okay. My head is following, actually it's following my arms. So you can do with your head what you will. Just be careful of the neck. And one more on each side here. And come to center. Now place the arms perpendicular to the forearms are perpendicular to the floor. You can either have your arms up in the air or the upper arms on the floor, legs bent or straight. We're just going to rotate the wrists here. Okay? We want to make sure that our hands and wrists are supple and flexible enough to help us accomplish those everyday tasks. So a couple more rotations in the direction that you started, and then pause for just a moment and go the other way. So we want to keep balanced. Whatever we do on one side, we do on the other. Keep our brain centered and balanced. Keep our body centered and balanced. A couple more rotations here. And then come to stillness with soft fists. Let that natural tunnel in the lower back come up off the mat, a little bit of a tunnel there, and starfish the fingers out. So I'm actually just making a gentle fist and then pushing my fingers out very bright here. So many joints and bones in our hands. And again, we want to keep them supple and moving, mobile, to help us with our everyday tasks. And then starfish the fingers out. Bring the thumb and the baby finger together. And then the thumb and the ring finger, the middle finger, and the index finger. Fingers out again and go back the other way. Index, middle, ring finger, and little finger. And do that all the way through one more time, feeling the muscles in the forearm. Can you feel how those fingers are connected? And then placing those hands down at your sides and bringing one leg up. Let's just rotate the ankle here. You can do both legs if you want, okay? Doesn't matter. Just going to get twice the fun. And then go in the other direction. A couple more rotations here. And then come to center and flex and point the foot. We're going to do some stretches for the upper part of the foot, the top of the foot, in hero or diamond pose. And then place that right leg down. Bring up the left leg if you haven't already done it. And circle that foot. Again, the feet, same as the hands, lots of bones, lots of joints. We want to make sure that we're tending to all of those. Rotate that foot in the other direction. And then flex and point that left foot. Bring the feet down on the mat. Soles, let the knees flop out to the side, not flop. Place them out to the side with the soles of the feet together. Supine bound ankle, Baddha Konasana. This is a passive stretch for the hips. We're just warming up. Let gravity, imagine gravity bringing its hands around the thighs, gently pushing those thighs toward the mat. Again, our hips are so important. And as we sit, we diminish this angle here, right here. And that causes the body to stop working because the hips are already flexed. And then when we stand up, we feel stiff. So we're going to try and alleviate some of that today. Let's bring the knees together and bring the right leg over the left leg. Okay. So we're not doing our usual ankle next to the knee. We're bringing the leg right over. And then we're going to bring the right knee toward the floor and then away. So we're really rocking from the left hip to the right hip, okay? We're getting a performance stretch. And the performance is a little tiny muscle deep in the glutes. And it often has a big impact on sciatica, on tight glutes. We want to make an effort here to stretch that performance muscle, to loosen it up, allowing us more mobility. Now, 99% of the things we're going to do today are all about hip stretches, but we're also going to do something while we're on our backs here for hip strength. So we'll do that in a moment. So come to center here and unwind. Place the left leg over the right and do the same thing, rocking from the right buttock to the edge of the left. So really bringing that knee in almost 180-degree arc here, not quite. Again, working on that performance muscle in the glute, flexing the foot, flexing your left foot. I can really feel this when my left knee is down toward the floor, deep in that right glute. And one more time to the left, and then come to center. Now we're going to place that ankle, that right ankle above our left knee on the shin, on the thigh. If you want to stay away from impacting that knee directly. So you can stay here. You can gently press out that right thigh with the right hand. Get a little bit more of a stretch. Or you can lift that left foot and flex it. Both feet are flexed here. You can bring that right foot toward the body while pushing the right thigh away, okay? So we're gently now, pulling that foot in as we press the thigh out. And that really gets into the middle of that right glute. You can also thread your hands through, clasp the thigh here, and bring that left leg closer to the body. There's a lot of different variations we can do here, not the least of which is going back to the original move and just letting that right knee fall towards the floor, opening up the right hip. Let's unwind that leg, bring the left ankle over the right knee. Same thing on this side, either gently pressing out the left thigh with the right palm, with the left palm, staying here, maybe making some micro movements to see how they affect the stretch, or bring that right foot up now, both feet flexed, left foot toward the body, left thigh away from the body. That really kicked up the intensity of my stretch. Fortunately, we're always in control of the intensity, and we're not going to criticize ourselves for not going far enough, okay? We do not want to injure ourselves. So taking another inhale and exhale here in supine pigeon, sciatica stretch. And then bringing the feet to the mat. Just pause for a moment. Pause for a moment. Maybe flatten your back against the mat. Open up the chest by rolling the arms externally, feeling the floor supporting you fully. Bring the knees up. Shins are parallel with the floor. This is the hip strengthening exercise I spoke about. We're going to place our hands on the thighs, push the thighs into the hands and the hands into the thighs. No resistance here. Flatten the back against the mat. We want to flatten the back so we're using the correct muscles. And I'm going to start on my left, it's closest to the camera. I'm going to extend my left leg all the way out, barely kissing the mat with my calf or my heel, and then coming back. All the while, my sacrum, my lower back is pressed into that mat. On the way up, make sure you provide some resistance to that hip. This is a hip strengthening move. Do as many as you want or as many as you can. Remember, when your leg is bent, to exert pressure on that hand. Okay. Now my lower back starts to talk to me very quickly. So once you find yourself coming out of the form, out of the proper form, it's a good time to stop. Okay. Lose your form, could be a setup for an injury or a sprain. You're able to maintain that flat back all the way through the exercise. That's great. I'm going to do one more on each side. And when I bring my feet down, they're going to come out to the edges of my mat. Relax that lower back, let that lower back tunnel re-emerge, and very gently windshield wiper the legs from side to side, squeezing out any tension from that lower back. Okay? Getting a little massage here, making sure we're taking care of that lower back. Tight hips and hips that are dysfunctional can lead to pain in the lower back. It's all connected. And then rolling over to one side or the other and coming up, we're going to come into a seated position. So I'm going to sit on my pillow to raise my hips up a little bit. And the first thing we're going to do is bring the soles of our feet together. So this is exactly what we did when we were on our backs. Okay, we had a supine bound ankle, This is a seated bound angle. And what we want to do here is find length in the spine. So don't automatically grab your toes if you need to come forward. If you can keep a long spine and you've got your fingers around your toes, then great. But to start out with, the hands go anywhere that's appropriate, keeping the spine long. And taking an inhale, finding length in the spine. On an exhale, coming forward now with a flat back. Keep those shoulders back, keep the head and neck in alignment, and come forward on the exhale to the point where you feel your first resistance. When you feel that first resistance, back off just a hair. You might be able to put your elbows down if you can keep your back straight. Just imagine the muscles stretching and softening. Inner thighs and hips. And then on the inhale, again, lengthening the spine, straight line from the sit bones to the crown of the head. On the exhale, bowing forward again, coming down to a second point of resistance. Forward folds are all about patience and acceptance. The patience is all about waiting for that resistance to lighten up. Acceptance means making peace with where you're at today. Our faces do not have to be on the floor. I know it looks cool. I want to do it too. But just the way our bodies are built, it is what it is. Now, when we're here and we feel that we've truly reached our edge, then round the back. Round the back, let the head go. Look back at your navel. Let the head become heavy. So now we're getting at the meat of any forward fold, which is flexion of the spine. We want to attain maximum flexion forward here. This lengthens the spine, puts space between each vertebrae. And then gently, maybe placing your hands on the floor. On an inhale, come on back up. Let your shoulders come down the back. Level the chin with the floor. Just check in for a moment. Take a breath right here. And then crossing the legs, because it's a little bit more conducive to our next pose, we're going to do lateral movements. So flexion forward is one critical movement of the spine. We're going to do some extensions later, which are generally back bends. And we also want to move laterally. In life, we spend so much time moving forward that we often forget about our side bodies. Place the right hand on the mat. Inhale the left arm up. Keep the chin tucked. Come on over to the right, opening up that left side body. Now, you don't have to look up here. You can look forward, you can look down. Just be careful of the neck. Keep the chest open to the ceiling. Okay? We don't want to round this way. Okay? The arm can gently curve over the head. And just imagine those left ribs opening up, softening those intercostal muscles between the ribs. And then inhaling up, lengthening, exhaling that arm down. Left palm on the mat, bring up the right arm with an inhale, and exhale over, open up that right side. Press the right knee down. Let the fingers, imagine energy streaming out of the fingers. Again, soften the neck. You can look down, soften the face. Bring the shoulders down the back. Nice subtle adjustment there. And inhaling the right arm up, exhaling down, just using your own breath, your own pace. Let's do a few more lateral stretches, beautiful stretches for the spine. Warming up the inner body while the hips get another stretch as we sit in easy pose, Sukhasana. One more on each side, supporting yourself with the left hand as we lean left, with the right hand as we lean right. Coming to center, place the hands very gently on the knees, shoulders down, maybe close the eyes just for a moment. And notice how you feel here. Removing my pillow now, come to table on the hands and knees. Let's talk alignment, okay? I'm looking at my back, making sure that it's as flat as possible. Shoulders over the wrists, okay? Knees under the hips. Look back through your legs. If you can see your feet, move them out to the edges of the mat. We want our lower legs right behind our knees. Taking advantage of the extension of the spine now, let the tailbone tip up, inhaling in cow, scooping out that lower back. This is spinal extension. The gaze stays on the floor so the cervical spine is not compromised. As we exhale, we round the back, crown of the head toward the mat. Look back through the legs, rounding that back as much as possible. Exhaling, navel toward the spine. And then letting the tailbone lead the way, not the head and neck. Go back and forth in cat and cow in these two critical movements of the spine. Luxuriating in the spinal extension and flexion. Contributes to good posture, to spinal flexibility, and to the health of our hips. Just a couple more here, timed with your breath. And then come to center. Externally rotate the arms, so press back this way so that the soft, fleshy parts of the elbow shine forward. Okay, engaging the arms, getting some isometric work out of the arms. Then maybe moving your knees a hair closer. Pick up the left leg and rotate that hip. Circles can be big or little, up to you. Rotating the head of that femur all around. We can make a 360-degree circle here. And then coming to center and then coming in the opposite direction, circling in the opposite direction. Hip, hip, hooray, yay, it's fun. And then coming back to table, reset those shoulders, reset that back. And then shifting the weight to the left, bring the right foot up, right leg up. Same thing, hip circles on the right side. And then rotating in the opposite direction. Coming back to table. Just resetting once more. Press the finger pads into the mat. Feel that energizing the arms. And then bring the knees out to the edges of the mat. Bring the toes together. Sit right back on your heels if you can. Okay. Buttocks touching the heels. We're only going to be here for just a moment before we come forward. Now I try to keep my buttocks really low, almost like I'm sneaking forward into child's pose. Now I'm not going to put my face on the mat so you can hear me still. But take advantage of the child's pose. A resting pose, but also a mini flexion forward, a hip stretch. Do a couple rounds of breath here in child's pose. In child's pose, we're going to be doing a transition, coming into down dog and walking the hands and feet together into forward fold, and then rolling up to mountain. So if you don't want to go through down dog and forward fold, you can just stand up and meet us in mountain. If you're going to do the transition with us, bring the knees together. Bring the hands out a little bit. Curl the toes under. Keep the knees bent while we stack our upper body in the right alignment. So bring the knees up. Start pushing the upper body towards the arms. Let the biceps cradle the ears. Look at that long line between your sit bones and the crown of your head. On an exhale, you can straighten both legs and head the heels toward the floor. Or you can bend one leg and straighten the other, sort of a walk the dog, as we call it. A wonderful stretch for the back of the legs. Down dog engages almost all the muscles in the body. Keep the gaze through the legs, maybe at the mid-lower leg, a few inches below the knee. Maybe you want to come up on your toes and stretch those toes out a little bit, tipping the hips up to the ceiling and then coming back down, shoulder blades down the back. On your next inhale, walking the hands and feet together. Feet are about hip distance apart. Your knees can be bent. Remember, I said that forward folds are all about patience and acceptance. Our main goal in a forward fold is the flexion of the spine. Flexion of the spine forward. So get the maximum flexion out of your spine with the knees bent. Ungrip the top of the quadriceps. It opens up your lower back so that you fold even farther. You can grasp your hands, your elbows, making the upper body really heavy. When you feel that you have that maximum flex forward, then straighten your legs. And they don't have to be poker straight. We don't want to hyper extend our knees. Okay? But again, even when you straighten your legs, relax the top of the thighs. Try and isolate the tops of the thighs. Soften them. Very nuanced move. Opens up that lower back a little bit. And gently flex the spine forward by holding on to the ankles. Don't overdo this. Nice deep breaths here. And then placing fingertips on the mat to stabilize yourself. Bend your knees a lot. Let your tailbone tip toward the mat now. Using the power of your legs, stand up, roll up. I'm going to move the camera so you'll be able to see me when I stand up. Hopefully that worked. Okay. And finally, we roll up. Head and neck is the last thing to come up. Now in mountain, looks like we're just standing here. There's so much going on. So look down at your feet. Energetically push your heels out. Right, so they're pushing out in two opposite directions. They don't really move, but you feel the pressure. Feel your medial muscles here. Feel your medial muscles engage. These muscles help us stay upright. So raise the knees, bring up the knees, engage the quadriceps. Both legs are fully active. Tipping the tailbone down to the mat. Let the abs be in and up, protecting that lower back. The upper body is light and buoyant. As much as we want to feel grounded in our lower body, we want to feel very buoyant in the upper body. Take a couple of breaths in mountain. You can have your hands on your hips. Bring your hands up. Doesn't matter if your hands are down, shoulders are back and down, fingers are relaxed, in and out. Take a breath right here. Inhale and exhale. Widen the stance a little bit. We're going to come down into a squat, and I'm going to get my blocks. Because it's difficult for me to get my heels to come to the mat. So what I'm going to do, come down safely. Watch the knees. If you've got this, a pretty deep knee bend, so just be careful. I'm going to put the blocks right under my heels. Okay. The deal with the squat is we don't want to be like this. Okay. We want the shoulders back and down. Maybe we've even got our elbows between our knees, hands in Anjali Mudra, pushing them apart, stretching those hips, and perhaps working on our balance a little bit. So if you can either balance on the balls of your feet without blocks, my blocks allow me to stay in this position a little bit longer. Kind of switching back and forth here to alleviate some of the pressure on my knees. So just take a moment to feel stable. Relax the sacrum, relax down, right down into the mat. Feel how that changes the stretch in the hips. Then coming forward, supporting yourself on the floor, the mat with your fingertips. I'm going to remove my blocks. Keeping the legs bent. I'm going to roll up just like we did in forward fold. So powering up through the legs, stacking the vertebrae, and then widening my stance even further, maybe 3 feet. Okay. Employing the same foundational alignment that we did in mountain. Legs are active, tailbone toward the mat, abs in and up. Starting from your sit bones now. Press the sit bones, flat back, press the sit bones to the back wall. Widen those sit bones, let them separate. You can bring your hands to the mat. Let your back round now when we get below a 90-degree angle. Look back towards your legs. Let the crown of the head be toward the floor. You can put a bend in those knees. And even though we're getting a Back of the leg stretch here, that's not the goal. The goal is the flexion forward of the spine. Flexion of the spine. An added bonus is a mini inversion, allowing that blood to come down into the head, the face, the scalp, nourishing the hair, helping the heart just work just a little less hard than it has been in our vertical positions. Bend the right knee. Gently come over to the right. You can leave the left foot on the mat. Let's look at our left arch here. And we want those arches nice and rounded. Press the outer edge of the foot to round those arches even more. Want to change up the stretch a little bit? Come up on the left heel. Press the inner thigh down toward the mat. Up on the ball of my right foot. Watch your knee. Your knee in this position can come forward of your foot. Usually we don't like to do that. And very gently walking yourself over to the left side. Again, up on the left foot, the ball of my left foot. I'm going to come up on my heel, flexing those toes toward my hips, changing the stretch. One thing that you can also try here is rotating the foot from upright to bringing the inner side of the foot on the mat. Okay, kind of a little bit of a rotation in the hip. You can feel that all the way up into the, through the femur, into the hip socket. So there's a lot of little micro movements we can do here. Just using your breath now in your pace to go back and forth. If you want to come back into the center and then raise the legs, lower the crown of the head, and then come back into that stretch. It's up to you. Do what makes you feel good. Do what your body needs. It'll tell you. Come to center. Crown of the head toward the mat. Flex forward. See if your body is loosened up any. The toe healing in maybe 1 or 2 times. Bending the legs, coming up into goddess. Point that tailbone right down toward the mat. Okay? Get into a comfortable semi-squat here. Bring the arms up to cactus position. Now the good news about goddess is if I get tired, I can come up, squeezing my inner thighs together, taking a break, and then coming back down again. Keep the upper body straight out of the waistband. Maybe coming up, going back in. It's up to you. You can stay down. And I'm going to come to the back of my mat here because I'm going to take my left foot forward. Left foot forward, make sure there's enough space in between the 2 feet. Bend the front leg to 90 degrees. And for lunge, low lunge, okay, we can either have the knee down or up. I put my pillow under my knee. Okay. The most important part is to have this thigh at an angle. We're stretching the psoas muscle. The psoas muscle runs right through the pelvis. Hard to stretch. Once it gets compromised, it's a bear. So as we inhale, press forward. Press forward. Exhaling, press that back leg down. So again, we're contacting the belly with the front thigh, stretching the psoas muscle on the right side. You can curl the toes and bring your leg up if you want to. If you do bring your leg up, press back through the heel and press down. You're still getting that psoas stretch. So either way, hands on either side of the left foot. You can bring the top of the foot to the mat. Couple rounds of breath here to focus on stretching the psoas. I'll place both hands on the inside of the left foot. Come down on the palms and let the leg come out to the left, coming up on the outside edge of the left foot. So we're in lizard, another hip stretch, isometric tension for the arms, looking down at the mat. Again, there's the psoas stretch on the right, and a different hip stretch, glute stretch on the left. Stay in this position for 2 rounds of breath. Raise that left leg gently, push back, bring the left foot back to meet the right. Coming back into hero pose. So this could be a precursor for child's pose, but we're going to sit here for a moment. Let the front of our feet stretch out. We don't often have our feet in this position because we have to point our feet to stretch the tops, and we don't do that very often. Let's go into low lunge and lizard on the other side. Bringing the right foot out, 90 degrees. Coming into psoas stretch in the back. Notice how my left leg is slanted there. It can be up on your toes or on the top of the foot. Doesn't really matter. It just depends on how you feel today. Then inhale and press forward. Press your chest and belly right into that right thigh. Breathe as if you could breathe right into that back hip. It can be fairly intense. Back off if you need to. Nice deep breaths. Let that belly contact the thigh. Place both hands to the left of the right foot and come right up on the outside edge of that right foot. And strong arms, maybe a little bend in the elbow. And press that left leg down, modifying the stretch there. You can come up, give yourself a break, and then come back down again. It's your practice. You do what you need to do. Do what you want to do. What keeps you safe and healthy. 2 rounds of breath right here. On an inhale, bringing that right foot back to the mat. Back to meet the left knee. And one more time, coming into hero or diamond pose. And then coming down into a prone position on the belly. I'm going to keep my face off the mat. You can bring your head down onto your hands, But first I want you to lift your right leg and really press that heel out. Find some length between those bones. Set the top of the right foot down on the mat. Lengthening that leg. Same thing with the left leg. Press, press, press to the back. Lengthen that leg. Point the foot. And then place the top of the left foot on the mat. Awesome. So the first thing we're going to do is just move our hips from side to side, left to right. It's what we call sloshing, okay? Sort of a squeeze and soak for the abdominal organs, not to mention taking some tension out of the lower back. And then come to center. Come up on the right forearm. Take the left ankle with the left hand. Now, and flex the foot. If you want to do bow pose, both legs, go right ahead. You can do that. I'm going to do half bow. And as we press our hand, or press our foot into our hand and pull the heel toward the buttock, I'm opening up my left shoulder and I'm stretching that left quadricep. So again, if you want to reach around and take your right ankle with the right hand and do full bow pose, the B-O-W, bow pose. Here you can do that. I'm going to do one at a time for a hamstring stretch here and opening up the front of my left shoulder. And gently laying that quadricep down on the mat. Don't let the legs snap out. And then coming around and taking the right ankle with the right hand. Bring the knees together. Don't have them splayed out too much if you're doing half bow. Flex that right foot and press that foot into the hand, opening up the front of my left shoulder now. Try and keep both hips on the mat. If you're in half bow, in full bow, you're up on the pubic bone. Maybe you're rocking back and forth with the in and out of the breath. Gently letting that leg go. Coming back to sloshing. The abdomen has no bones, only connective tissue and fascia holding all those organs in place. And so we can directly stimulate them. You deserve a little squeeze and soak, moving the lymphatic fluids around the body. The lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. It relies on movement. That's why people who exercise and move their bodies have a boosted immunity system, because otherwise that lymphatic fluid doesn't move. And come to center. Bring the right knee up, flex that left leg. This is the left leg. Can come a little bit on your side here, or rest your head on your upper right arm. As we inhale, press the foot into the floor, press the knee into the floor, engage the glutes, squeeze all the way from the foot to the glutes. Squeeze, 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 and on an exhale, release, 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 relax. Take a breath here. And again, on your next inhale, press that knee down, engage that glute, really squeeze now, pressing everything on the left into the floor. Press, press and hold, and exhaling, release. Bring that left back, bring the right up. Same thing on the right side. As we inhale, we're pressing down, holding, pressing that hip into the mat. Press, 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 squeeze the glute. Exhale, relax. Relax everything. And again, inhaling, pressing that whole leg down into the floor, squeezing that glute, inhaling, and exhale, relax. Take an inhale and an exhale right here as you gently unwind. Come right up on your right side. Bend that right leg and straighten the left. Flex the foot, another hip stretch. Just bring the foot forward and back. Forward and back. Trying to remain pretty steady in the upper body. It's really hard not to move. The hip is so connected to everything. But we're moving the leg now 180 degrees from the east to the west, from the west to the east. Again, working on that hip. And let's do one more, front and back. And then you can stay where you are. I'm going to switch so I'll be facing the camera. This time we're going to be on our left side, bending the bottom leg, the left leg, flexing the right foot, and just swinging that leg, that 180-degree arc. Getting a little bit of a mini back bend here every time we bring our leg back, making sure that our hips are going to be flexible and mobile. One more, front and back, and then come to center. We're going to roll right over to our backs. I'm going to use my strap, so you may want to use yours. And just bring those legs back into the belly. Flex the feet, rock from side to side. The whole body goes. So we're going to be massaging the back of the head, the whole back, the spine, the lower back. Then come to center. Placing the left leg down. Leg can be straight or bent. It's up to you. Putting the strap, if you're going to use one, around the ball of the right foot. And bringing that leg close to the belly. Stretching out that hamstring. The more you flex your foot, the more the muscles in your lower leg engage. Making sure the head of that femur is securely into that hip socket. And letting the tension up a little bit on that leg. Take the strap in your right hand, or take your right leg out to the side. I'm hitting my wall here, but let your leg go as far as is comfortable, but don't lay it on the floor. As soon as you lay it on the floor, your muscles stop working. That's the signal to relax. So we want to keep the muscles working here. Maybe play around with your left leg, straighten it and bend it. Keep the foot flexed and some tension on the strap. Bring the leg to center. If you got a strap, take it in your left hand. I would advise placing the left leg out long, and let the right leg come to the left, engaging that IT band. Feel that strip of fascia and connective tissue all the way from deep in that glute, all the way down to the calf muscle. This guy can be pretty tricky. It's almost like a band of steel. Once this guy shortens up, it affects our gait, shortens our steps, can really wreak havoc with your walking, with your posture, with your gait. We want to triumph over all of those limitations. Bring the right leg up to center. Remove the strap if you have one. Just windshield the knees from side to side just for a moment. Or tap the feet on the mat. Anything you need to do to loosen that up a little bit. And then bring up the left leg. Same thing on the left side. First position is footprint on the ceiling, letting that hamstring elongate. So making peace with ourselves. My hamstrings are short and tight. That's just the way they are. I try to keep them limber and flexible, but it always amazes me how these stretches feel after 20 years of yoga. Bring the left leg out to the right, keeping the left foot flexed. Maybe the forearm is up off the floor, either supporting that leg with your hand or holding onto your strap. Feel the intense inner thigh stretch here. Now the adductors, part of the hip flexors, brings our legs back together. Adductors bring the legs together. The abductors on the outside of the thighs bring the legs apart. Raise that left leg to center. Gently transfer support over to the right hand. Flex that left foot and bring the left leg over to the right. Crisscrossing that pelvic area. You can even feel that IT band. It's like there's no doubt where it is. Feels like a bone almost, but it's not. One more breath here. And bring that leg to center. Let's put our straps aside. Bring those knees up. Let's do some circles on the ceiling to rotate head of the femur in that socket. And pausing at the top, going the other way. One more rotation, and then one leg at a time. Stretch that leg out again, gathering length, just like we did on our stomachs, and bringing that leg down, pushing the other leg out, foot flexed, heel print on the wall in front of you, getting length in those legs. Bring that leg down, point the feet, arms overhead. Get as much space between those fingers and toes as you can. Stretching, whole body stretch. Whole body stretch. One more inhale and exhale right here. And come to center. And choose a position your favorite position for Shavasana. I'm going to be sitting. I'm going to be speaking for a minute or so, and then I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to bring the camera forward. Better to see you with. Final meditation, as I like to call it, is extremely important. I try to stay away from the word Shavasana because Shavasana is only one pose that we can take for final meditation. We can do legs up the wall. We can be sitting in a chair. Now that we're home, we could be laying down in bed. I love Zoom. But it's a time to integrate. We just don't want to rush off the mat. We really want to internalize and feel the benefits of our practice. We want to fill ourselves up so that we can give. You can't sell what you don't own. You can't be compassionate if you don't have compassion for yourself. You can't truly love other people until you love yourself, without criticism, without judgment. So take your position and just relax on the mat. Relax in the chair. Relax with your legs up the wall. And as you relax, and your breathing starts to slow down, starts to become a little bit shallow, that's okay. And imagine a feeling of sunlight in your hair and on your face. Feel its warmth. Feel the light trying to penetrate your closed eyelids. The space behind your eyelids seems reddish with the light. Feel the sun and its warmth and energy softening the face, bringing the ears closer to the earth, softening the cheeks and the chin. Easing the neck, the throat, lying gently on top of the cervical spine. Feel the warmth and healing of the sunlight on your shoulders, softening the shoulders, opening the heart. The golden rays of the sun merge with the golden ball of energy at the solar plexus. The energy wheel spins, infusing every cell in the body with golden light and healing energy. Feel the abdominal cavity and all the organs benefiting from this healing light. Feel the energy in the pelvic bowl, in the hips softening and spreading over the surface that supports you. The legs becoming heavy, heavier and heavier, sinking deeply into the earth, drawing energy now not just from the sun, but up from the core of the earth, infusing the whole body with energy and vitality. Feel the heat on the feet, Softening the feet, perhaps moving them outwards. Noticing the whole body now from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. As your natural, spontaneous breath moves the energy and the wellness all around you, all around the body, all around the mind. As you breathe in and out, and breathe in and out. Start to deepen your breath just a little. Picture yourself on your mat. Picture your surroundings in your imagination. But before you move, recall your intention if you set one. Find something in your life, something or someone to be grateful for. Feel the effects of your yoga practice. Feel the benefits and take those benefits off the mat with you. Before you move, bring your attention to the soles of the feet. Notice any sensations in the soles of the feet. And begin moving the toes, maybe pointing and flexing the feet for a moment. And bring your awareness to the palms of your hands. Feel any sensations in the hands. And then begin to move the fingers in the hands. Perhaps rocking the head from side to side. If you're home, you may want to stay here. If you're at a rec center, it's time to go. So roll over onto your side, either one. Just rest a moment in fetal position before we come to seated. Again, go inside, feel the effects of your practice. Think of somebody that you love. Send some good energy out to them. And then come to a seated position. Sit up tall, finding length in the spine. And raising the arms, palms up, gathering chi, energy from the universe. Grasp that energy, flatten the palms, spread that energy over the face, the neck, the chest, the abdomen, and the legs. At the bottom, pushing things away that no longer serve us. One more time, inhaling, bringing the hands to Anjali Mudra prayer position, slowly down to the heart, pressing the thumbs against the sternum. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me to guide your practice today. Namaste.